All right, my name is Oche Bridgeford. I am the president and CEO of the Palatka Housing Authority. I'm also a partner at Funema.
Diversified game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Killing, and today on Diversified Game, don't get it twisted by the name. You say, Oche, who does he have from Nigeria today? Well, by the way, in Nigeria and America, he's a citizen of the world. We'll just say it like that. But Chief Oche Bridgeford's going to give us the game on how he got into the housing authority, not just in this day. He's been doing this for a while. He has his own festival that he's done, The Weekender. And he also is an artist. So when you see him with his fly clothes, yeah, he put it together, and he could probably maybe put you together as well. Oche, welcome to the show, Diversified Game, AKA, we're going to put this on the Millionaire X platform too, you guys. So, that's coming. Bear with me. Oche, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How you doing today?
Man, always blessed by the best. We are here breathing, healthy, and just, full of joy. You have so much going on. I want to ask you first, for the person, especially the student who's listening, how did you get here? What inspired your moves, to be able to do all of the things that you do? I named maybe 3 of your gifts. I'm sure you have more, but what inspired that? What encouraged that? And when did that start?
Yeah, I think really for me, I just had a great opportunity to take a group of young people back to my hometown, to Indianapolis, Indiana, where I was born and raised. And going back there, I took them back to the community in which I grew up in, the public housing community in which I grew up in. And I think a lot of what I have aspired to and what I've been able to be involved in has come from what I didn't see there. The access to resources, the access to just life, just a good quality life that I didn't have growing up is something that I've always kind of reached out for through different programs and different opportunities and different activities through the years. And I think that is what has really shaped my worldview. And so they say when you're searching for opportunity, opportunity is also searching for you. And if you're not searching for opportunity, then it's not looking for you. So in that, I think a lot of the things that I'm doing now kind of in one way or another landed in my lap as an opportunity, but there was already a hunger or a thirst inside of me that already wanted to be involved in it.
Okay, now when you talk about opportunity and just, people trying to find that exposure is everything. When someone doesn't know, they don't always know what they're looking for, why reading is so fundamental. But how did you find that? Was it a teacher, or is it your parents who let you know that opportunities were even available for you outside of your neighborhood?
Yeah, one of the biggest things is a program called Young Men Incorporated. It's a program still going today. I joined the program in its inaugural year when I was 10 or 11 years old. And it was a summer empowerment camp for African-American males that meets Tuesdays and Thursdays there in Indianapolis, Indiana. And they really taught us a lot about what it means to be a man, what it means to be a leader in your community, what it means to contribute to your family, even as a young man growing up, and then as a grown man, taking care of your responsibilities and being responsible for your actions. But they also took us on field trips. And those field trips, I think for me, really broadened my horizons as we're going to fun parks in different states, but we're also studying history in different places, seeing artifacts. All those trips really began to help me see that there was a whole world that was disconnected from the world that I was used to, that I could be a part of. And it's something that I, once again, began to hunger and thirst for, was as many opportunities as I could to get out of those apartments that I lived in. I was taking every single one. And so I think programs like that were, for me, what began to help me see that I don't have to only be a part of this local community, that I'm also able to tap into a much broader community.
Hello, everyone.
Join us on an exciting journey with Explore the World Cameroon. London and Sydney go take you explore Cameroon, the heart of Africa. Experience the vibrant culture, nature, and traditions from Yaoundé Market to rainforest adventures. Every page na new discovery. Join the Cameroonian food, music, and wildlife with our explorers. This book na true celebration of Cameroon spirit. Get your copy now. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and through your library and bookstores via Ingram's Park. Don't miss this adventure.
And inside of, that program, because for you, that was great that was available. For some people, maybe their church or their school had Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, and people even just being able to, make something with you couldn't do that at home. You need so many supplies. Was there maybe one thing that you like, some aha moment? I think people are always looking for what is that moment that said, wait, I can do more, because not everybody sees that, which is sad. You'll hear people, whether they're 14 or 44 and say, the block is mine. This is all I got.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and you hit the nail right on the head. I was involved in all those other programs as well. I was involved in Boy Scouts. I was a firecrafter Boy Scout. I was involved in the church and the local youth group at church. And all those were inspirational, and they also kept me busy at a time where I definitely needed to be busy. But one thing about the program that I spoke about, Young Men Incorporated, is they had us do an activity every single day. And I normally do this whenever I'm in front of a group of people, and it's you stand up and you just repeat over and over, I am somebody. I can succeed. As a 10-year-old, I know what that means on the surface, but I don't really know what that means. And it took me to become an adult and for me to have a number of challenges as an adult that really shaped, kind of my trajectory and my outlook on life, that I literally had to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and tell myself, I am somebody. I can succeed. And this is something that had been planted inside of me more than a decade earlier, that I now needed to reach back and use to motivate myself just to keep going. And I think we all reach points in our life when you're young and you're involved in stuff. A lot of adults are telling you, hey, you are somebody, you're going to be somebody, you're special, you're unique. But as you become an adult, nobody's telling you that anymore. It's like you got to tell yourself that. And if you can't tell yourself that, then nobody is going to come and reinforce that in you. And so I think planting that in my mind as a young person really saved me. It helped me through my youth, but it also saved me as an adult.
That is so funny. I was telling my 15-year-old, because her aunt wanted to hear her first day of her second internship at 15 in the healthcare space. And she was acting like, typical 15-year-old. And I said, don't worry. In a few years, nobody will care how your day is. Grab that phone and talk, because once you hit a certain age, people, it's just work. It's not special. And people got to understand that. What do you think it is? You have a lot of education from a lot of great places, expensive places. In the words of Trump, a lot of big brains are there in the places you went. How valuable was that education? And was there a degree or a certification that you got that took you to the next level and made you stand out beyond, everybody else?
Are you a successful entrepreneur or one in training? You've got the vision, but do you have the right partner to build your brand, your team, and your future online and off? At cprfirm.com, we offer expert consulting, financial guidance, and life coaching because we believe in doing life with our clients. After all, what is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Founded by Callan Cash Coleman, we help our clients not only succeed, but plan to retire rich. Your business deserves the best. Start building your legacy today at cprfirm.com.
My degrees have been incredibly important for me to have the opportunity to serve in the roles that I serve in, um, degrees aren't everything, but they can do things that just your body of work sometimes isn't able to do for you. I think I've done a significant amount of good work in the community and a number of impressive things. Before I chose to go to school, I began college at the age of 29. So before that, I never stepped foot in a college classroom. Said I never would step foot in a college classroom. I felt like I don't learn that way. That's not my thing. I'll make my impact on the world in another way. And I did that for a number of years. But what really, really changed for me started with the economic downturn in 2008. In 2008, I was running a company. I felt like I was as successful as I wanted to be. I feel like I had a good client list that would last me throughout the year. I knew how all my bills were going to be paid, and in an instant, in one evening, I received a call from 6 of my major clients, all saying that they needed to pull out, that they could no longer move forward with their commitments and the contracts that we had already signed, that they couldn't move forward with them. And literally overnight, my business was done. It never recovered. It never recovered. So from there, had a series of of course, of being unemployed, but also evictions, repossessions. Came out to start the car one morning, and there was no car there. And I said, "Man, somebody stole our car." It didn't realize that that they came and got it. So I went through some really hard times. And even after I got a job, maybe a year or two after I got a job, I was still feeling the sting of that time of not being able to bring money into the household. And that's what got me to thinking, I say I will do anything for my family. And I firmly have believed that. And I firmly do believe that I will do anything to take care of my family. But one thing that I said, you know what? You're scared. If you're really, 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 really honest, you're scared. You think you won't succeed. That's the reason why you won't go to school. It's not just only because that's not how you learn, even though you do learn hands-on. It's not just because you could be successful or you can make things happen outside of school, which I could, and I had already proven that. It's because deep down inside, you're scared that you'll fail. And so I said, you know what? I gotta go. Made the decision to go. I had a little conversation with God. Now, God, if this is you talking, if this is you telling me this is what I need to do, and I know I don't have no money to pay for school. And as you know, I went to some very expensive schools. And immediately after that evening, I went searching, and I actually found a scholarship that will pay for my tuition and pay me a living stipend to go to school. And I started at a community college with the only goal initially starting out was that I didn't flunk out and have to pay that money back. And I did a lot better than I expected to do, had several semesters of 4.0 and making the Dean's List and joining the National Honor Society, all that stuff. And I began to say, you know what, that thing inside of me of I am somebody I can succeed, it began to rise up and say, you know what else is out there? If I'm doing great at this level and I didn't even think I could succeed at this level, what else is out there? I set my sights on an Ivy League university. I began to reach out to my mentors and I began to ask them, so what do you think? Do you think someone would accept someone like me into an Ivy League? Because I'm doing very, very well. And I had someone flat out tell me, my school wouldn't even accept you. Why would an Ivy League accept you? And that was a big blow because they had went to Stanford and they were director of a department at a prestigious college. And I began to think like, man, what if they're right? But once again, something inside of me rolls up. I am somebody. I can't succeed. So I can't let this man determine my future. So I went ahead and applied. And when I got the call telling me that I got into the University of Pennsylvania, the person on the other line who read my application, She said, when I read your application, I was in tears. It is my honor to invite you to come and study at the University of Pennsylvania. And that experience let me know never to let someone else determine how high I can go or how far I can go. Even if they believe it can't be done, I need to go and see for myself whether or not it can be done and whether or not I can do it. So that experience was just coming to the point of wanting to go to school. It took a lot of life beating me up to make me even prepared mentally to say, you know what? I've tried a lot of other things. This is one thing that I've been scared to try. Let me try it. And what I've gotten on the back end of it to back to your question is that the jobs that I've had since then, the person who's hired me has made it an express point to tell me, you know what? You went to such and such school. I think you'd be great for this opportunity. And they didn't have to say that, but for me, that was very helpful that they did say that, because them saying that let me know that I didn't go to school for nothing, that it was just a waste, because when you're struggling, especially coming out of school, you don't necessarily land in your perfect job when you get out. You take whatever job you can get. And me taking those jobs that I could get, once I landed in a substantial role, and them telling me it's because of the school that you went to, the reason why you landed in this role, really helped me to understand the true value, or be able to feel the value of the education that I've received.
Now, to go at 29 years old, and you were talking about a family, were you still single? Did you have a family? Did you move the whole family, or was there separation? Because some people think, if they're not, 22, they say, man, school is that part of life is over. There's going to be no benefit. There's no way I can do it. I have a family. How do I make this happen? What was your scenario?
Yes, at 29, when I chose to go back to school, I had 4 kids and a wife. So responsibilities, I was the breadwinner of the home. So I'm the one who's in charge of making sure all the bills get paid, plus my studies get done. And so that was absolutely challenging, and it became more challenging moving from the Midwest to the East Coast to go to school. So I moved the whole family to the East Coast. And at that time I was commuting 2 hours across 2 states to get to school every single day, and 2 hours headed back home every day. And I did that for 3 years to finish up a degree. So when I finished up, I was 29. So I was 32 when I finished up my undergrad degree.
Now, I'm sure, you learn so much in school, but the consistency that you were able to make that commute alone. I remember interning on the Hill and it was a 2-hour plus journey back and forth every day. And I'm like, thank God this is just an internship. I'm used to California traffic where it can take an hour to get 15 miles, but that is what most people, I don't think, could do, even if they could say at the end of the day, I'm going to get a piece of paper. What do you think, going to Wharton, going to Georgetown, having, education from Rutgers, what do you think was like the key thing that was a game changer for you that you could not have gotten if you did not go to school?
I think for me, the biggest takeaway from school is maybe an unconventional one or an unpopular one. I saw how much they keep it from us. I saw immediately when I arrived on Wharton's campus, though I wasn't a Wharton student, I worked at Wharton a month or 2 before I even started classes, and I worked there for my duration of my schooling there. I was a student in the College of Arts and Sciences, but I worked at Wharton in Wharton Social Impact. The immediate recognition of just how much money was being thrown at 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and how much access they had to very, very, very powerful opportunities and very, very, very lucrative opportunities. Whereas someone from my background and those who who even didn't go to school, but were just entrepreneurs and have run 5, 10 businesses. They can't get a loan. They can't find the support or the resources that they need to launch their ventures. But a young kid that literally hasn't even worked at McDonald's will get $200, $300, $400,000 just thrown at them. Go chase the dream. Go launch an idea. And what it made me understand is that there are some rooms that, of course, that everybody is not able to enter into. But if I'm in that room, sooner or later, I will not be the only one in that room that looks like me, that comes from where I come from. Because either I'm going to get kicked out of that room or that room is about to get crowded. One of the two, because there is no way for me to see that kind of just in your face disparity and think that that's okay and think that that's the way that it's supposed to be. Because I feel like my access to that room was only for one reason. It's only one purpose for me being in a room. It's to let my people in. That's the only reason I'm there. It isn't even about what I'm supposed to achieve for myself or what I'm supposed to do. But if I'm there, then I know that I am a catalyst, and I'm telling everybody I know about, man, I've been in that room. Do you know what they got over there? Do you see what they're eating? Do you see how it's going for them over there? Like, man, I got to figure out how to get you in there. And so that they can have that same mindset with others. So for me, I would say that's the biggest thing that I got out of it. Of course, being able to be employed is a really good thing. Being able to have a good job is an amazing thing. And there are two quotes, one by Ye that Ye said a long time ago. He said, having money is not everything, but not having it is. And he said, poor people walk around talking all day about how money is not important, but their whole life is characterized by not having money. Where they eat, what they wear, what they can do and what they can't do, where they go, what they experience is all characterized by not having money. Whereas someone who has money, they get to choose where they eat. It's not chosen for them. They get to choose their opportunities that they take advantage of. And I don't think that having money is everything, but I think it is critical to the kind of life, the quality of life that we want to have. It takes resources to make those kind of things happen. And so I feel like it's my job to find those resources and to utilize those resources, of course, to benefit myself and my family, but more importantly, to benefit the community I'm a part of.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And money, as one of your alum said, is just a tool. That's Trump said that. I believe it was in his first book, and others have. It's just a tool if you use it properly. That's why when we see, I'm a licensed sports agent as well as a consultant here in the state of Florida. But when we see 80% of the athletes ending up broke and entertainers because they didn't know how to use the tool. And a lot of people think just because you know how to make it, you know how to invest it and manage it and care for it like it was the baby. And as we see, most of us don't. Give us $10,000 and we didn't have anything. It doesn't matter what color you are. You start buying things you never had, and you don't know what to do because everybody's looking at you like, oh, wow, like the new toy. So, with that, going to schools like that, people would be under the impression that you could get offered some of the best jobs. The qualified investors would come to you and whisper something in your ear and say, hey, invest in OpenAI, invest in NVIDIA. Do you see that being a benefit? Because people love the Ivy League. I still would love to go to an Ivy League. And I'm telling you, everybody would know, Uche. Everybody would know that I went to but I did go to the Harvard of the South, Grambling State University. And I met, my best friend, my wife of over, 20 years. So what are those opportunities there that you see when you're in such rooms of privilege?
Yeah, so I think they are there but it all depends on how you navigate the space and how. So there's what you accept, and then there's what accepts you. So there's certain, even being in certain rooms, there are certain things and certain opportunities that probably won't accept me from my mindset in the way that I move. But there are also other opportunities that I can take advantage of being in a room that another person might not be able to take advantage of, just by how their perspective is in the world. And so when I say that in part, I was invited to a dinner with Microsoft and with it was Microsoft, the Gates Foundation, and a number of other very, very high level philanthropies, right? And I believe the reason why I was in the room is not because I had already started my company, already done a lot of things in the community, already had achieved things, had come from the projects. Now, and I believe none of that was the reason why I was in the room. Not even that I had done well academically. The reason I believe I was in the room is because they needed at least a speck of pepper in that sea of salt. They needed
The pink total, like Malcolm said.
they needed some representation of we are a diverse institution. So when the big corporates come, they can at least see that, hey, we mix it up. I believe that's the real reason why I was invited to that. I cleared my schedule, skipped class that day, went to the dinner, took the dinner. And from that, it was a beautiful experience where I was able to launch a venture in partnership with Microsoft. Only kid at the school, able to do so. And there were several people at that dinner that were actively uh, uh, pitching themselves. Hey, I'm a junior. I'm studying such and such and such. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I would love to seek out any internship opportunities. And the representative from Microsoft, he spoke and he said, and it was the Microsoft for Africa initiative. He said, I work on a continent with 1 billion young people. What would make you more qualified for an opportunity in Africa as opposed to the billion young people that are already there, that are dying for opportunities? Why would I choose you? The room grew quiet. But none of your credentials or none of your whatever you say you're studying or whatever group or club you say you're a part of makes you more qualified than somebody who's actually living it right now. And I ended up developing a relationship with them, partially because of that statement and partially because of other statements in that dinner, and ended up launching a partnership with Microsoft under the For Africa initiative. And so, yes, those once in a lifetime opportunities absolutely are there. But there's always the general statistics and then the black statistics. So many times on the brochures of the colleges, we have a 99% graduation rate, or this percent this, or this percentage of our students go off and make six figures when they graduate. But then you have to check the black stats. How well are black people doing, and how well are black males doing in these institutions? And when you see those numbers and you see the disparity, though those numbers will still be higher than, let's say, a community college or some state colleges, the success rate may be higher than some of those institutions and may not be higher than other institutions. Those still lag far, far, far behind. And you still see there's still a good old boys club, even once you get invited to the table, even once you're a part of the group. And it's only because of some individuals that have a mindset that see that disparity and see it as not being a good thing that really makes the difference.
Well, and there's also the part where, you are pro Africa. And, that's great in that instance. But when you really get into the office, that doesn't really fly with the majority. They're not trying to hear all of it. That's not even on their mind. Africa, or let me take care of the least of these from the community. I'm coming from. That's not there. What do you mean? We want to go have avocado toast. We don't want to talk about, that. So yeah, I definitely get it because I've been that's kind of my life being in paint pool. But but with Africa, you said a key word. What and when did you start understanding and trying to build that bridge between the diaspora and the continent, 54 and growing countries? Was that something that, as a kid, were your parents, from Nigeria? What made you say, okay, I got to talk Africa because it wasn't cool. I remember 20 plus years ago to those who didn't know what's Africa and what's the food and that clothing. It's funny. And I said, nah. Or they say, oh, that's Michael Jackson clothing. You're like, why? Because it has, something that's the only thing they can relate to. So what made you, be like, I got to really wear this, share this? Because even still to this day, we can go to Memphis and people say, I've never seen African wear. Go to Kentucky, I've never seen African wear in real life. And as clean as it is, as fly as it is.
Yeah. So my father came to the United States to study. He had a master's. He earned his master's in public health from Indiana University in Indianapolis. And that's where he met my mother. I grew up, they split before I was even born. So I never knew him. To this day, still never have spoken to him face to face. But when I was about 6, I believe it was 6 or 7, I was getting into trouble a lot. And my mother, when she used to whoop me, she would say something like, who do you think you are? Because whatever I did was like just so dastardly. And I probably did some crazy stuff. It was like, so who do you think you are? And I remember one time I said, because I don't want to get another whooping. I'm like, nobody. And she said, don't you ever say that again. You are somebody. And when she said that to me, she began to explain to me who my father was. Before that, it was not a thing in my mind, who my dad was or where my dad's at or any of that. I had a stepfather who was great. And so I didn't know anything else. And she told me who my father was and told me he was from Africa. She also told me I should find him. And I don't know if that's what you tell a 7-year-old. A 7-year-old kid. But from that point on, I knew that there was another part of me. And that part of me was a little bit different than many of my friends or many of the people around me were experiencing. And it made me want to search that out. And so I really didn't get connected with my family, with my Nigerian side of the family until I was a full grown adult. I was already married a few years and found my family through Facebook. But that experience as a young person of knowing that, hey, I'm African, that set me apart and that made me look at myself and look at my future differently than what I was seeing. I always thought, my future isn't here. This is my reality. This is my today right now, but my future is somewhere connected to the continent. And so from my time of being connected with my family, but even through growing up, I've always looked at ways to connect with Africans. And so my trips back to the continent have always been about trying to connect the dots, trying to find opportunities. Even in the venture I was telling you about that I launched with the For Africa initiative, was really all about bringing resources that help entrepreneurs flourish on the continent. And so many of the things that I've been involved in, from the Oche Boy brand that I launched with clothing and everything, is just about helping people realize and understand that there is a part of all of us, regardless of if our parent came from the continent or whether we got to go further down the line to find our ancestors who have come here to the United States, who have been here in the United States. The blood in our veins does not lie. So you can park a car in an airplane hangar, but that car is still a car. It's not an airplane. So we could be born anywhere on earth, but this is African blood that runs through our veins, and nobody can deny us of that. So for me and my understanding and my perspective, Africa is as much yours or mine as it is someone who's been born there and has lived there their whole life. And what it is or what it isn't, we have a role to play in that by our absence or by our involvement. And so I want to help shape Africa into what it can be by my involvement.
And it's funny when you say that, and I think I heard you say that in an interview when I was doing my research, and I was like, you'll have people who will try to, oh, you're not African, whether they're from here or on the continent. It's like you could be a woman in a dress and people will call you a woman, or a man in a dress, people will call you a woman. But when you say, hey, and even my wife, who was born in Africa, spent her first 18 years in Africa, has, rebuilt a house in Africa. When she goes back, they'll say things, especially for a bribe. Why are you taking our art back? And it's like, it's mine too. Like, who are you? I paid for this. Yeah, play your position. So there's always going to be a divide, whether you're here or there or going back and forth. Have you been able, and if you have, please let the people know where they can find this information, to find a path to maybe do a 6 months on, 6 months off in the future, or build a business, or, build a house. Every Nigerian has to build a house, right? Even if you only come once a year or even once a decade, you got to build a house. But have you been able to connect like that? And can you, encourage and show other people, just because it's a passion of mine and part of our life's work,
Yeah. So I am still in my transition period of developing what my real estate holdings are going to be, and expanding my business exposure to the continent. But one way that I stay involved is through Funema. I'm a partner with Funema, which is an investment firm that invests in ventures on the continent that are improving the quality of life of Africans across the continent. And so a lot of my work right now is continually investing in time and energy and finances into helping grow and expand the vision of Funema and the work of Funema. But I think for anybody, it starts with a trip. It starts with booking a trip, book that flight, book that hotel or that Airbnb, and go and experience and build relationships. I think we have been socialized into only looking at Africa for there is natural beauty. There are natural wonders there that are nowhere else in the world. There are animals that are there that are nowhere else in the world. There's food there that is unique and exquisite and amazing across the continent. But there's also people. Like, don't forget to connect with people. Sometimes we get so fascinated with the safaris and the this and the that, and even some of the luxury spots that we can go to. There is unbelievable amount of amazing luxury items that you can buy across the continent, or experiences that you can pay to have across the continent. But the richest experience I've had is being able to connect with people. And I've had the luxury of having people invite me into their homes where I'm sleeping on their couch, or they're like, no, you take the bedroom, I'll do this. No, you're my guest. And those experiences have really shaped and formed my outlook and my opinion on the continent, and the welcome that I've received has been one that has really changed my own perception of self-worth, to understand that that's my home just as much as it's anybody else's home. And that it's kind of like, when I think about it, it's like, who was Nipsey before he was Nipsey? Nipsey Hussle. Snoop recognizes Nipsey. J.O. recognized Nipsey. Everybody will recognize Nipsey now, but who was he before? He was whoever he said he was. He had to say it long enough for you to believe it, and for me to believe it, and for everybody else to believe it. And I think that's kind of, unfortunately, what we have to do with being born outside the continent and having a home inside the continent, to say, no, that's who I am. And other people is like, whatever. He's one of them, them Americans that want to claim something that he don't know anything about. And then sooner or later, they'll come around. And you end up being the face of something that once you were excluded from.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I dig it. I dig it. And you, at the end of the day, keep living your life, because that's all that you can do. Now, I want to talk about the artist in you. And you know, I, I've been an artist, and I tell people I haven't been an understood artist, but with AI, y'all are fully understanding, the things that were in my head. Talk about your art and, what the goal and the plan is. Have you had anything in a gallery, or what's the goal?
Yeah, so from a visual art standpoint, I think I caught the bug that almost everybody caught during COVID. It's like, I got these gifts, these talents, these skills inside of me, and I got to get it out. I have to get it out. I have to find a way to share with the world what's brewing on the inside. And to create art for me is life. It's not in whatever form, whatever shape, whether it's performing as an MC, whether it's visual, whether it's digital, no matter what that art form is, for me, I think that it is one of the best forms of therapy that a person can have. And so what I began developing was a number of different types of visual art. One was in the form of pictures that we began to develop digital art into frames and sell that. And I sold some pieces of that, but I also began to develop travel accessories through luggage and bags, and develop some partnerships where I've sold those both here in the States and then also abroad. And what it's done for me is allowed me to really represent a lot of the meshings of the worlds that I've come from being here, growing up in the projects in America, but also having a deep love for my African roots, and just being a world traveler. A lot of those things are the inspirations and things that I like to infuse into the art that I create from a visual standpoint. And then from a performing artist standpoint, I've traveled as a performing artist and in a hip hop group called The Field for a number of years, and then branched off and did some solo work after that. But that artwork was all about helping people understand that, like, there's a higher level of living that you can live, and that clean living is not anywhere substandard to wilding out, and that a person that lives a clean life will actually live a better life and enjoy much more of the flavor and the dexterity and the texture of life when you are able to look yourself in the mirror each day. And so really trying to call people up from some of the things that we embrace as a culture that are not really serving us well.
Definitely, definitely. What's a community give back that you are doing, or that you would like to do in the future?
Yeah. So one of the things that I mentioned that I'm very excited about, we just took a group of young people on a trip to the Global Entrepreneurship Congress that happened last week in Indianapolis. And the group of young people that we took live in public housing here in a small town in Florida, just an hour south of Jacksonville. Many of them first time on an airplane. Many of them first time out of this city, and everybody, it was their first time in Indianapolis. And nobody's ever been to a global conference before. So we have the only group of young people out of the whole conference of thousands of people there. So everybody's coming up to the young people like, who are you? Where are you from? What are you doing? And got them dressed to the nines. I mean, like to the nines. They look good. They smell good. They feel good. And everybody's wanting to know, like, you got a startup or what are you doing? Like, are you an investor? What are you doing? And they're like, I'm weird. I'm enjoying it. And so experiences like that make me come alive because it's the whole dynamic with the Wharton and the Ivy League and all of this. Like these opportunities, if they are given, they are not given to kids that live in the communities that I serve. And to give that opportunity from an exposure standpoint is great, from a contact standpoint is great, but from a changing their algorithm in their mind of what their future looks like and what their future can look like, I had to give them a different picture. And I think through this trip, we've done daily reflections on what they experienced. I think that is one of the things that I think will stick is that now they at least have another version of what their future could look like if they choose to continue down this path.
When you do a trip like that, do you fundraise or do the students pay it for themselves? Because so many people want to get kids somewhere, but sometimes it's hard enough getting them down the street to the roller rink because, funding. How did you guys work that out?
So it was partially funded by sponsors. So we have a number of partners that we use to do everything. As a housing authority, we manage public housing and we manage Section 8, but our properties need things like painting. They need things like lawn care. They need roofing. They need all these different things. So we just reached out to many of our contractors and said, hey, we're taking a group of youth to the Global Entrepreneurship Congress. Would you like to sponsor? And many of them have stepped up and have helped underwrite the cost of the trip. The rest of the costs we underwrite as an organization. We understand that is literally, and I mean that it's not figuratively at all, it's literally impossible to get youth on a trip like that if they have to pay their own way from the demographic that we're working with.
Okay. That's good game. That's good game. And we've talked about the creation of the art, but do you have any books, any courses? I know you have a YouTube channel that we want you to give more love to, just so they can get some more game. But give us what's to come and what's there if they want to learn. Because not everybody, even if you had two parents or have two parents, not everybody has wisdom to hand down. We can go to TikTok right now and see a bunch of parents doing things and say, man, these poor kids. So kids are going to have to look for those role models, but it's so much easier now to look for them than ever before to find positive role models. Miles Monroe was a mentor of mine. I never met the man, but I saw it online, like, okay, read a book a week. It'll change your life, So please give us the game if you have a book, working on a book, courses, or anything.
So this is still pre-book for me. So to this date, I haven't written a book yet, though I have a lot to share. But one book that was instrumental in changing my life and my perspective is a book by an author named Keith Ferrazzi. Keith Ferrazzi has his seminal writing, which is Never Eat Alone. And the whole premise of the book is kind of along the lines of your network is your net worth, but it dives so much deeper and helps you really understand how his life specifically was changed coming from a poor upbringing to being in the C-suite of Fortune 50, Fortune 100 companies. It all came from him learning how to develop meaningful relationships and nurture those relationships with very, very powerful people. And it started with him as a young person taking on a particular job. So I would encourage young people to read that because his advice is the advice that the Ivy League students seek. they have him book him to come and speak at their colleges and universities so they can unlock the rules of the game. And he's like, you're already here, but you're not doing any of what you need to be doing. It isn't about the internship. It isn't about the next opportunity. It's about who and how you are connecting. And so I would say that has been critical for me. I'm actually reading his next book, which is Never Lead Alone. But that Never Eat Alone is a book that I would suggest to anyone.
And one that is free at your library, I'm sure, people. So whether you say, I don't read, okay, I'm sure there's an audio book. You can go summarize it on ChatGPT and so many things. But I love books like that. And Alan Weiss, who's written like over 60 books in consulting, people get on him because they say all your books are the same. It's the same topic. But when you look at the Les Browns with Tony Robbins, it's always the same thing, just remixed, but it's still good game. It's like going, to your Bible. You always gonna find something new in those scriptures that you didn't understand. So I appreciate that. And I want to leave something with, for the audience that have a question, because, you have your own YouTube, and we will have links in the description for the website and everything so they can connect with you. But you let them know the best place to connect with you. And I thank you for giving us the time.
Yeah. In these days, for me, if it was 3, 4, 5 years ago, it would have been Instagram, or it would have been Facebook, or any of those. These days, I spend some of my most productive time on LinkedIn. So if anyone looks me up on LinkedIn, like, hey, I saw the podcast, just want to connect with you, build with you, I would love that. It's a great way for us to keep connected, and as well as to keep up to date on a lot of the things that we have going on, and to share many things that individuals have going on. So that's I would say the top way to connect with me. You can catch me online. I have my website, which is ochebridgeford.com. That's OCHE, bridge like the bridge, Ford like the car, .com, ochebridgeford.com. You can check me out there, as well as you can look me up on YouTube as well. Have music and videos and all that stuff up there as well.
Well, you guys have got the game, and I thank you for coming to the end. I know most of you are listeners, but please go over to the YouTube, go give it some love. You can make your comments, you can give your likes. It all helps for the algorithm. This is a good, positive game, and that can change your life. But most importantly, I want you to share this game with somebody, no matter how you experience this. We have a new thing, platform, that Millionaire X, and you can go to millionairex.ai or .app and see that platform. And if you're in debt, let's help you get out of debt. And that's all free 99. If you want to invest and say, I need help with that, the AI is there to help you. I thank Tyler for connecting that brother, beautiful soul, and put it together for us. And we paid him. So, there's different tiers, but if you are in debt, I don't even want your money. I want you guys to, sign up for free and get all those good resources. This is something brand new we're putting in place. You guys like the game, share the game. It will change somebody's life and make.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stretch the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.